In terms of the clinical improvement, in terms of symptom alleviation, is much quicker with the combination group.
Hong Kong researchers claim breakthrough on drug combos that could help patients with COVID-19. Hong Kong marks another day with no new COVID-19 infections and the 20th day with no local transmissions of the coronavirus.
I say with great humility and deference, these are heartbreaking numbers.
And U.S. unemployment now at its highest since the Great Depression.
Good evening and a warm welcome to TVB News. Hong Kong researchers have found a new drug cocktail that helps coronavirus patients recover more quickly.
With vaccines for COVID-19 not expected in the near future, this new finding is putting Hong Kong at the forefront of the global search for a treatment. Here's Haley Zhou.
Interferon is the backbone of this triple combination.
Having experienced the 2003 SARS pandemic, Dr. Ivan Hong and infectious disease experts in Hong Kong are on the front line of finding a treatment for the novel coronavirus. They have been conducting clinical trials of a triple drug combination of interferon beta-1b, lopinavir, ritonavir, and ribavirin, which are used to treat multiple sclerosis, HIV, and hepatitis C, respectively. The COVID-19 patients given this drug cocktail recovered in 7 days versus 12 days for the control group, who were only given one of the drugs.
In terms of the clinical improvement, in terms of symptom alleviation, is much quicker with the combination group. And also in terms of the viral load in the nasopharyngeal swab turning negative is also much quicker.
Last week, the U.S. FDA authorized the emergency use of the drug Remdesivir in coronavirus patients, a medicine originally created to treat Ebola.
Remdesivir, the trials currently on Remdesivir is on severe cases. And also that Remdesivir is given intravenously. So definitely it will be beneficial for the severe case.
The Hong Kong trials took place between February and March at 6 public hospitals in the city involving 127 patients with mild and moderate symptoms. One of them dropped out because of liver problems.
The limitation of this study is that it's restricted to just mild and moderate cases. So we do not know what is the effect of this triple combination in severe cases.
This study also had no placebo group, and it was open-label trial, so the patients knew what medicines they were given. The researchers hope to overcome this in their next phase of trials. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
Some encouraging news about the epidemic as the city recorded 0 new coronavirus cases again today. This is also the 20th consecutive day in which no local infections were recorded. This means the infection count in Hong Kong stays at 1,044. 7 more people have been discharged from hospital, bringing the total number of recoveries to 966.
Well, roughly 2.6 million people have now registered for a government scheme to hand out reusable masks.
This morning, the city's innovation and technology chief stressed the masks are effective despite previous doubts about them. Caleb Leung has the details.
The government may have intended the reusable mask giveaway to be a relief measure, but so far the plan seems to have generated controversy and raised concerns. This morning, the Innovation and Technology Chief was asked whether he would apologize for mistakes made in getting the scheme off the ground.
The major purpose of this project is to provide a reusable mask to our people, the Hong Kong people, that we have already fully met our target. That's what we need to do, and we have already done that.
Alfred Sit was also asked whether one of the key components, copper, would pose any health concerns when inhaled.
All the products have been gone through a very comprehensive and very clear testing and certification process. So the product can fully comply with the ASTM F2100 level 1 requirement so that the product can fully meet the need to protect our people from the COVID-19.
As for those who still want to know more about the product, this was Sid's advice.
For those people who may not have complete understanding about the product, you may go to our website so that you can see the report and the certificate. Well, I fully hope this product can help our people to combat with the COVID-19.
Sid also said he is learning a lesson during this process and will keep up with the times to allay public concerns. KW TVB News.
A local court has adjourned a case involving an anti-triad police officer who was arrested on drug trafficking charges to July. The 41-year-old officer Ho appeared at the West Kowloon Magistracy today, together with a 42-year-old man linked to the case. Ho has been suspended from his duties. Meanwhile, a third defendant, a 28-year-old woman, is in hospital. The court heard that the three were suspected of trafficking dangerous drugs illegally at the Royal Garden Hotel in Tsim Sha Tsui a few days ago. Similarly, Officer Ho and the woman were allegedly trafficking drugs in a unit at Nam Shan Estate on Thursday. The trio were charged with 3 counts of drug trafficking. The 2 male defendants did not apply for bail. Today, the magistrate adjourned the case until July 6th, pending results from the government's laboratory report. As for the female defendant who remains in hospital, she will appear in court on the 14th this month. Police arrested the 3 suspects in the early hours of May 7th after raiding a hotel room at the Royal Garden in Tsim Sha Tsui. There, they seized around $270,000 in cash, as well as suspected drugs including methamphetamine, cocaine and ketamine, worth about $1.4 million. Police believe the meth seized in that haul are linked to another 300 kilos of meth, which was seized in Yau Ma Tei last month. The seizure, worth around $150 million, was also the largest drug case in the city in 30 years. In a letter, the chair of the Junior Police Officers Association, Lam Chi Wai, urged his colleagues to exercise self-discipline. He added the wrongful thoughts within a small group have destroyed the hard work done by the entire force. The coronavirus pandemic has triggered the steepest monthly loss of U.S. jobs since the Great Depression of the 1930s. The U.S. Labor Department said Friday that 20.5 million jobs vanished in April.
The report comes as a second White House aide was diagnosed with the coronavirus. As the U.S. struggles to get back on its feet, another blow from the coronavirus. The Labor Department says April's unemployment rate was 14.7%, with more than 33 million workers filing first-time claims in the past 2 months. It's record-shattering labor data that one senior economist calls the jobs report from hell.
I say with great humility and deference, these are heartbreaking numbers. I would expect the numbers for May will be difficult. I expect that.
Amid coast-to-coast shutdowns of factories, stores, offices, and other businesses, the true picture is probably even worse. Some calculations put the jobless rate closer to 23%. And now President Donald Trump, who initially played down the threat posed by the coronavirus, is running for re-election amid a breathtaking economic collapse.
What is the president's plan to get this country out of this ditch?
Yeah, this president is the jobs president. And I can tell you this, the president that got us to the hottest economy in modern history, he's done it once, and he can do it again.
The White House also confirmed Vice President Mike Pence's press secretary, Katie Miller, has the coronavirus. She becomes the second person who works at the White House to test positive for the virus this week. Trump said she tested positive out of the blue.
She was tested very recently and tested negative. And then today, I guess, for some reason, she tested positive.
Miller is married to a top Trump advisor. And earlier this week, a member of the military serving as one of Trump's valets had also tested positive. In New York, a filmmaker has unveiled a massive billboard in Times Square. The Trump death clock is said to provide a real-time tally of U.S. lives lost to COVID-19 because of government inaction. More than 77,000 Americans have died from the disease out of nearly 1.3 million confirmed cases. Still ahead in tonight's news, authorities arrest 7 for smuggling millions of dollars of American ginseng. Pandemic forces Britain and other places to hold muted celebrations marking the 75th anniversary of the end of World War II in Europe.
Welcome back to TVB News. Authorities have arrested 7 people for smuggling American ginseng worth some $47 million.
As Dong Yao reports, it's one of the largest seizures of this type of ginseng in Hong Kong.
Tons of American ginseng have been seized in a joint operation between Hong Kong Marine Police and Customs. At around 8 p.m. on Thursday, officers spotted a suspicious vessel which was fully loaded in waters north of Hong Kong International Airport. Men on the vessel were unloading cargo onto 2 speedboats. After a high-speed chase, officers stopped the fishing vessel and arrested all 7 people on board. The 2 speedboats managed to escape into mainland waters.
After a search and investigation, we arrested 7 Hong Kong male, ranging age from 25 to 69, and they were all eventually arrested for undertaking smuggling activities in that area.
1,060 boxes of American ginseng were seized, weighing some 32 tons with an estimated value of $47 million. The monetary value is a record high for American ginseng smuggled into Hong Kong. Officers believe the goods were to be shipped to the mainland.
American ginseng is high-value goods. For mainland China, it will impose 50% of import tax plus 9% of value-added tax. So there's a reason, profit-orientated, for the smuggler to smuggling this kind of goods back.
喺繁忙嘅河道之內左穿右插。
Officers slammed the smugglers for carrying out dangerous activities and risking the safety and lives of others on the busy waterway. Police say 13 accidents have happened since January during smuggling activities in Hong Kong's western waters. These have led to 1 missing and 6 deaths, including 3 customs staff members who died on the job. Zhong Yaonie, TVB News.
Secretary General of the Hong Kong Coalition, Tam Yiu Chung, has weighed in on yesterday's chaotic scenes during LegCo's House Committee meeting. The National People's Congress Standing Committee member was sorry that violence broke out in the chamber.
Central government senior official, they wanted to present the bill to remind all the legislation council to fulfill their responsibility. I hope that in the coming future, we'll come back to the peaceful situation.
Meanwhile, the Justice Secretary is warning young people to stay away from violence and not commit mistakes that might ruin their lives. Teresa Zhang wrote about the arrests of young people over bomb plots and the social unrest last year on her blog. She says some minors may think they would avoid criminal records, but that's not true, as age is only one of the factors courts consider when trying juvenile offenders. She said if convicted, criminal records will affect their education, future employment, that is, warning youngsters to make good judgments.
Well, it was a muted VE Day for Britain, with the Queen paying tribute to citizens struggling amid the COVID-19 pandemic.
As other European countries start easing restrictions, people are finding new ways to avoid using public transportation to commute. Leslie Tang has more.
This year's VE Day was a far cry from that of 1945 or even recent years. With most of Europe on lockdown, celebrations to mark the 75th anniversary of the surrender of Nazi Germany were dramatically scaled back. Queen Elizabeth II gave a televised message at Windsor Castle at the exact time her father, King George VI, did 75 years ago.
But our streets are not empty. They are filled with the love and the care that we have for each other. And when I look at our country today and see what we are willing to do to protect and support one another, I say with pride that we are still a nation those brave soldiers, sailors, and airmen would recognize and admire.
We'll meet again. British citizens across the nation still celebrated by singing the wartime classic We'll Meet Again in their neighborhoods. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to announce a roadmap out of the nation's lockdown this weekend. But his Environment Secretary said there won't be any huge changes. It's expected the amendments will include allowing individuals to sunbathe in parks and relaxing the limit on the one-day daily outing for exercise. But reports say a 14-day mandatory quarantine for almost everyone arriving in Britain could be in the cards. The UK has the second highest death toll in the world. Elsewhere in Europe, as countries start rolling back some lockdown measures, Rome is carving out 150 kilometers of emergency bike lanes. With some businesses reopening this month, some commuters are avoiding public transportation for fear of catching the virus. According to Rome's transport counselor, only 15% of Roman citizens return to traveling by bus or train. Bike shops in France are also seeing a boom in business. This store in Paris has put more than 60 secondhand bicycles on sale. The French government has asked a prominent cycling activist to draw up a plan for when the country's lockdown ends. Leslie Tang, TVB News.
Yet another famous name has died from COVID-19. Roy Hon, the magician and entertainer, died from complications from the coronavirus in Las Vegas. He was 75. Hon teamed up with his long-term business partner Siegfried in Germany back in 1957. The Siegfried and Roy show entertained millions with their extraordinary magic tricks, and they eventually expanded their gig to America. Roy had to retire in 2003 after being critically injured by a white tiger during a performance. That's the news. Thanks for watching.
Bye for now.